A young mother, a beloved firefighter, and innocent bystander, just some of the victims in a violent string of shootings that have shaken Birmingham. At the center of it all, Damien McDaniel, accused in connection to 14 homicides. The state has filed to seek the death penalty. McDaniel's attorney maintains his innocence. Tonight, ABC 3340's I-Team's Valerie Bell takes you inside the investigation, the staggering allegations, and the push for justice.
Anitra was the person that held our family together. It has been a big difference by her being gone. She was an amazing girl. She was like my everything.
On September 21st, Candace Kemp's 21-year-old daughter left home for an alumni picnic with friends when news of the mass shooting in 5 Points South spread on social media. Kemp grew worried.
I started calling her phone and it was just ringing.
She raced to the hospital, then back to the scene, searching for answers.
That's when the officer had pulled me to the side and told me that my daughter was one of the victims. And I just feel like a part of me left that night.
Nearly a month later, the Birmingham Police Department announced an arrest in that case, 22-year-old Damien McDaniel.
The amount of violent acts that he's associated with is unprecedented.
The Jefferson County District Attorney's Office is prosecuting 8 separate cases against McDaniel, totaling 14 homicides in the span of 14 months.
In your experience, have you ever seen a case where one individual is charged in this many homicides?
I have not.
He has entered a plea of not guilty, and he maintains a plea of not guilty.
On July 12, 2023, 2 on-duty Birmingham firefighters were shot while working at Station 9. Jordan Melton died a few days later. Jamal Jones, who was critically injured, survived. Damien McDaniel and Eddie Jones were both charged in that case.
Obviously, killing a firefighter on a line of duty is a capital charge, and as a result of that, he was charged with that.
Court documents allege Melton was intentionally targeted because he had been subpoenaed to testify in a murder trial against Larry Rollins, who also happens to be charged in a separate homicide connected to McDaniel. On January 10, 2024, 21-year-old Mia Nixon was shot in the driveway of her family's East Birmingham home. McDaniel is the sole person charged in this case. McDaniel is also charged alongside Charles Durius Nance in the death of UPS worker Anthony Love Jr. in an alleged murder-for-hire plot.
Now, I understand what the prosecution is claiming, these murder-for-hires, but again, that there's not been any evidence presented in court to support those allegations, and they are simply allegations at this point.
On July 13, 2024, gunfire erupted at Trendsetter's Lounge where a birthday party was being held. Lorandis Anderson, Stevie McGee, Markeisha Gettings, and Angela Weatherspoon were all killed. 10 others were injured. McDaniel and Hatarius Woods were both charged. A month later, on August 13th, 61-year-old Charlie Herbert Moore was killed inside his apartment. McDaniel, Woods, and Nance all charged in connection to that case. On September 19th, McDaniel is accused of killing 35-year-old DeAntrinette Tanae Brown, an innocent bystander who was inside 604 bar. 2 days later, on September 21st, a mass shooting in Birmingham's 5 Points South. Carlos McCain, Roderick Lynn Patterson Jr., Anitra Holloman, and Taj Booker were all killed outside Hush Lounge. 17 others were injured. Again, McDaniel was charged, along with Naquan Lawler and Krishawn McLemore Bruce.
Why do that there at a night like that, they knew that people were going to be out celebrating?
Less than 24 hours later, police were investigating the robbery shooting death of Jamarcus Deshaun McIntyre in the 700 block of 81st Street South. McDaniel, Lawler, McLemore Bruce, in addition to Larry Rollins, DeMarco Beck Jr., and Zachary Holmes, all charged. The common thread through every case, McDaniel's alleged involvement.
The thing that kind of separates this out is that it wasn't simply in one location. You've got multiple events on multiple dates. And again, that goes to a level of violence and I think kind of a disregard for safety that in my experience, I don't recall ever encountering.
According to authorities, some of these killings could be murder for hire, raising questions about McDaniel's connections.
If what they're saying is true, that this is something that has been sanctioned by someone else, you have to then begin to think, well, what were his underworld connections relative to the streets in Birmingham? You know, who knows this guy? Because that goes to a bigger picture. You know, who's out there that would put money forward to say, I want you to go out, and it doesn't matter how many people are harmed, I want you to decimate these people.
And while court documents lay out a trail of alleged violence, McDaniel himself spoke in a YouTube documentary produced by an international filmmaker, offering a window into his mindset.
Gonna do the same thing to you, so why not do it to them? Why show them compassion when they ain't gonna show your folks no compassion?
With so many cases, so many victims, the investigation into McDaniel is massive.
This investigation is still ongoing. It doesn't stop just because we're in court. It doesn't stop when a person is charged. It doesn't stop when a person is indicted.
Meanwhile, there's a push in Montgomery to speed up the legal process.
We want to make sure that there can be a priority on our violent cases and that we have the resources through prosecutors to be able to do it.
The Speedy Trial Act aims to expedite trials, reduce court backlogs, and ensure swift justice.
I think that is not only what a defendant has a constitutional right to be able to demand, but it's also equally important that victims understand that they're not waiting 4, 5, and 6 years for their cases to be heard.
Right now, McDaniel sits in Kilby Correctional Facility after his probation was revoked for a 2019 shooting in Fairfield. In February, a judge denied McDaniel's request to transfer to the Jefferson County Jail while awaiting trial.
We are a long way from these cases being tried in court. There's a lot of ground to cover. There's a lot of things to do on both sides.
Do you know how soon that could take for the first case to be in front of a jury?
That is the magic question that no one has an answer for right now. There are a lot of things that have to happen behind the scenes.
And while nothing can bring the victims back, their families hold on to hope.
I pray to God every day for justice for my daughter.
In Birmingham, Valerie Bell, ABC 3340 News.